Well, hey there, YouTube. How are you all doing out there today? I was sitting out on my back deck the other night and I realized it was kind of an anniversary of sorts. I don't have an exact date, but it was about the last week of June in 2012 that I went plant based and gave up alcohol for good. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory on that. That kind of happened in two parts, actually, because take it back to January of 2012. And listen, well, even further backstory, I was a raging drunk for 30 years. I don't mean go out and party on a weekend or every once in a while. I'm talking about a hardcore drinking, raging drunk for 30 years. Blacked out more times than I can tell you about. The only thing, the biggest regret was drinking and driving, but it was just a huge part of my life. In fact, it was probably actually the driving force in my life. And I'll talk about that in a video another time about how really a lot of it like alcohol just like kind of took over my life and sent me in a direction. But anyhow, 30 years hard drinking came to be January of 2012, and I was living in San Jose, Costa Rica. And that was the year I'm like, okay, look, that you can't drink and eat like you have and not expect for there to be some consequences. And I just started searching. I wanted to just kind of put my health as a priority. So between January and June, well, first what I did was I quit smoking in January of 2012. I quit drinking in January in 2012. I sort of quit drinking in January 2012, and I started eating healthier and just started doing more research and kind of changing the way I was doing things. Now, the reason I say I mostly quit drinking is I went through a lot of different things during that time between January and June. I didn't drink for 3 months. I was eating better. I was eating more vegetables. I was eating more fruit because it was all around. And I would try different things. I would read different things, and I kind of got on this kick and came across how red wine was so good for you, and you should. So religiously, for about 2 or 3 months, I had one glass of red wine every night, and I ate a little dark square of chocolate. But flash forward to June. And I've started, consuming a lot of, I just stumbled across in one weekend and I started consuming a lot of information on a plant-based diet, on the raw aspect of a plant-based diet. And just within that, that made sense to me, and just kind of making the decision to really focus on my health even more now. I saw no reason to drink at all anymore, so I got rid of the one a day. But actually, as of January 2012, I never got intoxicated drunk. It was just for a while there, the one glass a night. Also, something else too that I should make very, very clear while I'm talking about alcohol. People will send me, will make comments or send me messages from time to time, and they're all very nice, but I think they're kind of going in the wrong direction. They talk about how I can help people or how I should talk more about overcoming my addiction. I didn't have an addiction. That's why I said I was a 30-year drunk and not an alcoholic. Because I do believe, and people have different beliefs on this, that alcoholism is a disease. And if you're an alcoholic, you don't just decide one day, like, I'm going to quit. Some of them do, but you're white knuckling it. Let me just say, I had no problem. The day I decided not to drink anymore, there were no urges. There was no, oh, I'm going to slip up. There was no near misses. There was no nothing. It was done. I didn't want it anymore. I didn't need it. So I've had a lot of friends that have been alcoholics throughout the years. I've had a lot of friends that do AA. I've had a lot of friends that do various 12-step groups. And when you have that true addiction, you're most likely not going to just walk away from it and do it on your own. And then if you do, you end up being what they call a dry drunk. But for me, it was just like, yeah, I'm ready to put this stuff down. And as far as the food goes, between January and June, I just realized it wasn't like I say, I didn't really start looking into any plant-based or anything until June. But when I looked back, I noticed that my just normal progression was dropping more and more plant-based foods. By June, I was down to where I ate meat maybe twice a week. I ate some eggs. I didn't drink milk. I ate a little bit of cheese here and there. But I had already just instinctively really cut that back. And also, too, sometimes when I'm talking plant-based, somebody will make some dumb comment like they think I'm some nuts and crunchy person from California, that I grew up in this pristine. Listen, once again, along with that hardcore drinking, I ate lots of bad stuff. I probably consumed more chicken wings on weekends during football season than most three people combined. Just a few years before I went plant-based, I was smoking meat. I had a friend that had a restaurant and a hotel in Costa Rica, and I was working with him, and we were actually going to develop, he was going to develop kind of a side business from that. We made beef jerky, we smoked, we did pulled pork, we did all that stuff. So I've eaten a ton of meat in my life. I've eaten plenty of it, and I know how I feel. I know how I feel eating garbage. I know how I felt when I was eating animal products, but I was eating that in a healthier version. I wasn't just like eating willy-nilly. And I also know how I feel now eating plant-based, and you just got to do you. But I feel the best eating like this. My digestion has never been better. I don't care, just for that one thing alone. I'm not going to change how I'm eating very much over the course of the rest of my lifetime. But yeah, and like I say, I have a lot of issues that I deal with that still roll around in my head about the drinking, because to be honest, with the drinking part of it, I don't have my why. I came from a good home. My parents were loving. I almost kind of have like analyzed my parents. It was almost like a perfect balance. They had discipline, but not overly. Like I say, I got hugs, none of that psychology stuff. So I can't go back to a bad home life or anything that my parents did. My parents were not, my father didn't drink. My mother would have, a couple of drinks here and there every once in a while. Never saw her intoxicated in my whole life. So yeah, there's a lot of things I still need to figure out about that. But then again, there's nothing I can really do about it at this point. But it did cause me to miss out on a lot of things in life, and with the food part of it, and just living a healthier life overall. Like I say, back when I used to drink heavy and just eat whatever, my only kind of aspect, I always went to the gym too. I stayed in fairly decent shape. I always kind of had a ceiling on my weight, so I would gain, maybe 20 pounds and get a little chubby, but I never was going to just like gain and gain and gain. I was never going to be destined to be a 300-pound person. But like I say, I think back to just a few years before I quit drinking, and it was just about staying lean. Like, I did some of the worst stuff imaginable. I'd go out on a day of binge drinking and drink so much and be like, okay, well, I won't eat today because I've already gotten a lot of calories and booze, and just the nutrition, just like, and I'd be skinny fat at times because I'd be, I didn't have a lot of mass on my body, but I'd have a little bit of a gut. But it was just, there's nothing I miss about that life. Like I say, I never had any temptations or real urges like I wanted to drink. I do have nostalgia every once in a while. I will admit to that. All the time I will go by an old, and I used to like to drink in dive bars, and I used to really like drinking in dive bars and local bars in Costa Rica. And a lot of times I'll just see a dark, dank bar with where you can tell there's day drinkers there and what have you. And I just reminisce. I'm like, ooh, I would have loved to settle into this bar today and just, been here all day. Also, the other day too, we had, about 2 weeks ago, we had a string of bad weather where it was rainy for about 4, 5, 6 days. And I just thought, oh, this is drinking weather. And then I laughed at myself and I said, I bet you most people wouldn't even think of that term, like there's a such thing as drinking weather. But yeah, there was even drinking weather. But anyhow, the bottom line is life's been good. The last 11 years been a lot better than it was. Waking up with hangovers, wondering what you did the night before because you blacked out, pissing people off. Just feeling bad. So anyhow, that's my story. I appreciate all you guys that do follow me. I and I hope you'll continue to watch. Peace.